Chapter 4. Then went Boaz up to the gate, and set him down there. And behold, the kinsman of whom Boaz spake came by, unto whom he said, O such a one, turn aside, sit down here. And he turned aside and sat down. Doubtless Boaz both knew his name and called him by it, but it is omitted by the holy writer, partly because it was unnecessary to know it, and principally in way of contempt, as is usual, and a just punishment upon him, that he who would not preserve his brother's name might lose his own, and lie buried in the grave of perpetual oblivion. Verse 2. And he took 10 men, Boaz took 10 men of the elders of the city, and said, Sit ye down here. And they sat down. Now we read about how Boaz brought 10 men. This is because it's a very serious matter. It needs to have many witnesses, but usually 2 or 3 witnesses would suffice. And we also read about how they're meeting at the gate of the city. This wasn't only where the marketplace would be, roundabouts, but also where the matters of the city, this would be where the life of the city, if you will, would transpire. Verse 3, And Boaz said unto the kinsman, Naomi, that is come again out of the country of Moab, selleth a parcel of land, which was our brother Elimelech's. And I thought to advertise thee, or to tell you about it, saying, Buy it before the inhabitants, and before the elders of my people. If thou wilt redeem it, redeem it. But if thou wilt not redeem it, then tell me, that I may know. For there is none to redeem it beside thee, and I am after thee. And he said, I will redeem it. John Gill commented, he chose to make the purchase. He liked the land, which he probably full well knew, and it might lie near his own, and make a good addition to it. And as the widow was determined and under a necessity to sell, he might expect to have it at a cheap rate, all which might induce him at once to agree to be the purchaser. Verse 5, So the man says, I'll redeem it, I'll take it. Then said Boaz, What day thou buyest the land of the hand of Naomi, thou must buy it also of Ruth the Moabitess, the two together, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. And the kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I mar mine own inheritance. Redeem thou my right to thyself, for I cannot redeem it. What has made the man suddenly change his mind? Charles Ellicott noted how the redemption of the land would involve the spending of money, of course, drawn away from the Goel's or the kinsman redeemer's own estate. But the land thus acquired would not belong to the Goel himself, but to the son he should have by Ruth, who would yet be, in the eyes of the law, the son of Mahlon. So right here's the predicament that the kinsman finds himself in. It would therefore be like mortgaging one's own estate, and that for the benefit of another. So once again, at the hearing of this, the kinsman turns down the offer. Now this was the manner, verse 7, Now this was the manner in former time in Israel concerning redeeming and concerning changing. For to confirm all things, a man plucked off his shoe and gave it to his neighbor, and this was a testimony in Israel. Therefore the kinsman said unto Boaz, Buy it for thee. So he drew off his shoe. The idea of this act apparently is that the man resigns the right of walking on the land as master in favor of him to whom he gives the shoe. In other words, the sandal in which he would have initially used to walk upon the land, he now gives unto the next kinsman, being the Redeemer. So now he is allowed to walk upon it. And Boaz said unto all the elders and unto all the people, Ye are witnesses this day, that I have bought all that was Elimelech's, and all that was Chilion's and Mahlon's of the hand of Naomi. Moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead be not cut off from among his brethren, and from the gate of his place. Ye are witnesses this day. And all the people that were in the gate and the elders said, We are witnesses. The Lord make the woman that is come into thine house like Rachel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Israel, and do thou worthily in Ephratah, and be famous in Bethlehem. Now this is an astounding blessing, because Rachel and Leah, the official wives of Jacob, were basically known as the mothers of all the Israelites. Think it no coincidence that the blessing of the mothers of Israel was given to Boaz and Ruth, from whom the Savior of the reborn in spirit church would come from. And not only that, but the blessing is given in the same vicinity where the Messiah would be born. Verse 12, now we read of an additional blessing, and let thy house be like the house of Pharez, whom Tamar bare unto Judah, of the seed which the Lord shall give thee of this young woman. Morris commented, indeed, it seems that Pharez was the ancestor of the Bethlehemites in general. Moreover, Pharez gave his name to the section of the tribe of Judah that was descended from him. And I do believe that these blessings are recorded not just because the author desired to emphasize the prophecy of David coming along, but even the greater David, kind of a hint to us Christians. Verse 13, so Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when he went in unto her, the Lord gave her conception, and she bare a son. And the women said unto Naomi, blessed be the Lord, which hath not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel. And he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life, and a nourisher of thine old age. For thy daughter-in-law, which loveth thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons, hath borne him. And Naomi took the child, and laid it in her bosom, and became nurse unto it. And this is just a way of saying that she helped raise him. And the women her neighbors gave it a name, saying, there is a son born to Naomi. And they called his name Obed, who is the father of Jesse, the father of David. Closing verses. Now these are the generations of Pharez. Pharez begat Hezron, and Hezron begat Ram, and Ram begat Amminadab. And Amminadab begat Nahshon, and Nahshon begat Salmon, and Salmon begat Boaz, and Boaz begat Obed. And Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David.
Boaz is the Lord of the harvest. He's the kinsman redeemer. What's Naomi? She's Israel. Because of his redemption, Israel's returned to the land, to her land. And Ruth, of course, is the Gentile bride. You wonder, how can Boaz, a good, self-respecting Israeli leader, take on a Gentile bride? You have to know who Boaz's mother was. His mother was Rahab, the harlot of Jericho. So no wonder he had to see what the law could not do, grace can. Some other observations. In order to bring Ruth to Naomi, Naomi had to be exiled from her land. Now that's kind of interesting. Think that through. What the law could not do, grace did. It was illegal to marry a Moabite. But our kinsman redeemer did. And Ruth does not replace Naomi. They have different destinies. Ruth learns of Boaz's ways through Naomi, but Naomi meets Boaz through Ruth. Think that one through. And no matter how much Boaz loved Ruth, he had to wait for her move. Jesus is waiting for your move. Do you receive him? Do you accept him? So that he can be your kinsman redeemer? It's interesting that Boaz, not Ruth, confronts the nearer kinsman. The law required the estranged girl to confront the nearer kinsman. No, Boaz did it for her, and he does it for us. He makes intercession for us. It's interesting how much the model fits, and it's also interesting how much the model is twisted to fit the real reality we have. Some final remarks. The book of Ruth turns out to always be read at the Feast of Pentecost, the Feast of Shavuot. How interesting. The Feast of Shavuot was the birth of the church, and the book of Ruth, in a sense, anticipates the church. And you can't really understand what's going on in Revelation chapter 5, where the Lamb takes the title deed of the earth and takes possession of that which he purchased, unless you understand these things in the book of Ruth. You and I are beneficiaries of a love story that was written in blood on a wooden cross erected in Judea some 2,000 years ago.